Hey guys, first star in the dumbest level of Dream Edition, Everlasting Encore, break into the cage. Okay, so I basically started this grind a year ago, but I took a big break, and now I am finally back. All right, so without further ado, let's talk about the jumps. So here is the intro. It's probably the part that the people hate the most because it's quite inconsistent, it's pretty difficult, and getting it for the first time will take actually a very long time. But I, I'm gonna be honest, this is definitely not that bad. The thing is, yeah, it's difficult, but you have to learn, you have to understand the, like, every jump mechanics. Uh, you have to understand what you have to do, like, what is it intended, and once you found the right setups, once you found exactly what's intended, what you have to do, you're gonna get past it most of the time. At least it was my case. All right. So here is the part that I was struggling the most past year. It's those cylinders. These are quite tricky. In my opinion, since I use now different setups from what I used to use, this was definitely very easy. But at first, I really struggled to this. But now that I found the right setups, now that I found how to put the camera, how to handle the right directions, I don't feel that this much. I think I did here like maybe 3 times maybe. And here, first big jump, which is not hard to be honest, but requires actually a little bit of practice. Yeah, like you have to know how to, like, there's plenty of strats you could use depending on the camera, depending on some settings, but it's pretty easy, yeah. But you have to learn it. That's what I mean. Okay. Also, these slopes, these are pretty fun. Surprisingly, a lot of levels have these kind of slopes, and this one is actually divided in 2 parts. The first one that you're seeing right here, which is pretty easy. It's pretty basic. Yeah, and I want to talk about the second one, which is coming. Yes, okay, so now the second one. This one is much harder though. It's, I won't say difficult, to be honest, but the jumps can be really awkward. Yeah, it's more awkward than difficult. None of the jumps here are gonna be like major run killers, but they could be pretty bad. You have to understand how things works. Okay, here I use a strat to not do the intended slopes. Basically, the strat is harder than doing the intended way, but I feel like it's more consistent. Because when you do like the normal slopes, you have to do some speed kicks. I noticed that sometimes, for some reason, I was just like dying to the quicksand. I guess it's pretty bad to set up. So I'd rather use this strat. I'd rather use harder strat, but more consistent, than easier strat, but strats that I may die to some stuff that I don't really understand. Okay. Okay, so here's the first enemy-based sequence of the stage. Well, more so the start, but the stage in general. Basically, for that heave-ho, you have to wait for it to do 3 turns plus a quarter of a turn, and then you can do your curiosities. The enemies in this levels are actually pretty annoying. Usually the enemies won't be that bad, but in Dream Edition, like, the enemies are really annoying, and this stage isn't an exception. The enemies are pretty annoying. They add up difficulty. Okay. Here we have a pretty weird walking section. Rambi could have put firsties, could have put precise, thin stuff. Unfortunately, there's none of that, which I'm pretty faithful for, and I'm pretty happy that I can finally play like a level without like firsties, thin wall kicks, and stuff like that. I mean, at least for this star, which wasn't the case for like One Star of the Future, for example. In One Star of the Future, you have firsty arch, you have precise slopes and stuff like that. Everlasting Encore doesn't have this kind of stuff, but this level is difficult for other reasons that I'm gonna explain later. And also, this wall kick section here, it's pretty precise. I know that this strat I use is pretty messy, like double pulse buffer each jump. Yeah, this strat is pretty messy, but that was the only way for me to get consistent at it. Yes. And now we're gonna come up with the last hard jump of at least for a while, because there's gonna be much harder jumps in the star. But for now, we're gonna face the last big jump, the last annoying jump of the star, at least for a while. Yes. Okay. So this jump here, you have to jump, hold neutral, and then hold downwards plus jump. Then you do 2 jumps, then wall kicks. Okay. It killed me a few times, not that much, but I don't know. This jump made me feel quite uncomfortable. It's not the worst thing, don't get me wrong, but you could die to it sometimes. Enough time that you have to practice it at least. So now we are basically gonna have easy jumps coming up. I would say like these easy jumps, like these easy parts, they may be considered as a downside, at least in my opinion, because it's basically the same as course 13. In course 13, like the general layout is pretty easy, for at least for the Dream Edition standards, but some of the jumps are really difficult, and Everlasting Encore is basically the same. Most of the layout is pretty normal, it's pretty easy, but some of the jumps are really hard, and that's what kind of make this level feel demotivating, right? Because the thing is, like, in that grinding period that I started a few days ago, I was mostly having very good attempts. Sometimes I was struggling a little bit on the intro, but most of the time I had pretty long attempts, and having like 8 minutes, 10 minutes attempts and dying to some hard jump after passing all the easy jumps plus the intro, it feels bad, because you don't want to redo everything. You don't want to be in the mindset of I lost 10 minutes, I lost 15 minutes, and this level as that default, right? It really makes you feel upset of dying pretty far, because you passed the intro, you passed the long boring jumps, and you died to the hard jumps coming next. That's the really big issue of this level, is how demotivating it is. For One Star of the Future, I could play this level for hours, because like for 1 or 2 hours, because the level is pretty consistent in terms of difficulty, and the jumps are pretty interesting. But Everlasting Encore has this sort of inconsistent difficulty, like sometimes the difficulty is going up, sometimes it's going down, we can never really get used to the difficulty because it changes like a lot of times. I don't know if it does make sense, by the way, but that's the way I feel, at least. Okay, so this section is it's a, at first when I tried it a year ago, that was a section I hated so bad because it's precise. but now I'm way better than I used to be, and this section I actually died here only once. But you can do this really consistently, unless you really have a bad setup or something, but generally you're gonna be pretty fine. Okay, so now we're basically done with the first half of the level, and the first half is marked by the jump coming next, which is that one. So if you're familiar with Everlasting Encore, you know that this is a firsty arch. Well, it's not firsty arch. Basically, you have to be careful of the heave ho, make sure it's in a good cycle, and then you have to long jump, and then you have to get at least one firsty, which is thankfully retriable, and then you have to do the arch. You have to make sure that you have the right depth perception, sorry, and the right height. Thankfully, I got it for the first time. That was a major run killer a year ago because I just couldn't get the firsty consistently. It made me really nervous. Like the gameplay could quickly get messy. Sorry, but now no, this is not a problem anymore. To be honest. Okay. Back now with some nothing jumps, right? So yeah, the difficulty, as I said, is going up and down. This is definitely the difficulty here is definitely going down. So yeah, these jumps, there's nothing that interesting to talk about. Obviously, when you learn them, you have to spend like some hours to them. Yeah, here I played 13 hours for that section, and a year ago I played a little over 45 hours, I think. So yeah, in total I got the star in a little over 59 hours, which is pretty good for me. It's a tier 6. Okay, so the thing I wanted to talk about here is why Everlasting Encore feels special, because basically this level, as dumb as it might sound, this level is the reason that made me play Dream Edition. Because when I first discovered Dream Edition, the first Kaizo star I saw about this level was maybe Rumby's Reverie Reds. I'm not really sure. But when I first saw Everlasting Encore Reds, because the first star I saw about this level was the red coins, I was like on the bus coming back home from school, and then I saw a video like 1.5 hours. I was like, what is that star? I was shocked that a star could last for this long, and I was so I wanted to know more, right? So I watched the video. I watched the 1.5 hours of Everlasting Encore Reds, of reclimbs, and I thought the star was dumb, but it made me want to know more about the game, about the hack. And thanks to this level red coins, and more so this level in general, because this is one of the first level I tried, I wanted to push through in Dream Edition. And I actually started to grind this level when I had, I think it was 30 stars, maybe 28, I'm not really sure. RR and this level were the first level I actually really grind a lot. We are basically done with the easy jumps. The walking section you see, by the way, was you saw, by the way, was it's not difficult, but it requires practice. Don't get me wrong. Okay, and here we are at my best PB. I mean, a year ago, because this wasn't my PB during that section. But yeah, a year ago my PB was here. I died because I didn't touch grab because like the setups I used like a year ago were so terrible, man. I'm realizing now, but they were so terrible. Okay, so here we're gonna do a punch cancel long jump. So basically you punch and then you go forward and then you long jump because the floor is made of ice. This jump surprisingly never killed me. Like this long jump, it's pretty precise. I died a few times here in practice, but I surprisingly never died here in attempts. That's pretty impressive for me because that's definitely not a free jump. Alright. We have that walkie arch, and we're gonna come up with a part that could make a lot of people annoyed because it's a pretty tough part, but I really do like it. Alright, so we got the arch. So here the goal is to put Mario in a good position. And here I should probably make a sort of video that explains this jump. But here I'm not gonna get into too much details about the setup I used. It's a very consistent setup, to be honest. I've seen a few setups, a few different setups. For me, the one I use is the best and the more consistent. Well, it's basically the only one I've tried, to be honest, so yeah. Here I pause buffer to make sure I jump as soon as possible. It might seem really tricky, like you have to use pause buffer, you have to know like you have to jump as soon as possible. It might seem complicated, but trust me, it's not. That was the most consistent setup I could use. I should probably make a video that talks about it. And I know that I have a few videos to make about some jumps in course 13 and course 14. I know, I didn't forget, right? I'm gonna make those videos maybe later, but I'm gonna make them. Okay, now we are gonna this section, man. Alright, so then the section coming up, if you're familiar with Everlasting Encore, you know, this is I think it's called the Troll Store Party. This section I hate it so bad, man. Dude. Yeah, this section is called the Troll Store Party because there are a few troll stores, you can see. But yeah, basically the Troll Store Party is a pretty short sequence of really tight jumps, especially the last one, which cost me 2 chokes. It's pretty simple. I choked 2 times in the Troll Store Party and 1 time after on the next section. But usually I would say that this grind was pretty good. Despite how demotivating the level is, the grind was really good. It was kind of short. It was like the total time I took was 13 hours and 26 minutes, I think. But only 3 hours and a half were attempts. So yeah, that was pretty short. I was pretty lucky. Alright, so yeah, that part, man. So here's as I said, 10 times the Troll Store Party. So those jumps here are really precise. And I was really starting to get nervous here. Here I wasn't at the peak of my nervousness, thankfully. But I was starting to get nervous because these jumps first are kind of nerve-wracking, and once you pass over half of the level, you really don't want to choke. Trust me, you really don't want to redo like a 15 minutes paths, right? Yeah, but 15 minutes is pretty short compared to some other stuff in the stage. But yeah. Alright, so this jump is the jump that I choked 2 times. Surprisingly, it's not as hard as it looks, to be honest. But I think it has like a little part of randomness and of luck. I wouldn't say it's 100% luck based, but like the input you press, like the direction you handle, the moment you press A, like everything, every details has to be perfect and has to be done the right way. Only a single little mistake could cost you the jump, and that's what made me die 2 times, unfortunately. And past this, I thankfully died only once. Yeah. Alright, so here I use a few visual cues with the wall to know the angle I have to take. And here we're gonna jump. I used to use a very bad setup where I was gonna ledge grab the platform on the right and then wait for the heave bow to be in a precise pattern, but that didn't work, at least consistently. So I decided to change. Right. Okay, so finally this section. Okay, so if you're not familiar with Everlasting Encore, basically you will have to do a very precise and very hard wall kick section. But some players found that you can grind for firsties if you wanna skip it, and that's what you're gonna do. So you have to get, I think it's like 8 firsties, and surprisingly I got them really fast. I'm definitely not that good at firsties, but here I guess that was a pretty lucky attempt because I got them really quickly, and sometimes you can struggle to it a lot. And in the first attempt, well, the only attempt that I died to that section, it was because I full stage grab, and it was because it was because I was too stressed and I couldn't get the first seas. It took a long time, and when you're stressed, as I said in my Bonsor Future 120 starter 120 coins video, when you're stressed, your muscle memory is gonna be a little changed, which doesn't make it easier, right? Okay, almost done with the star. We have a visual cue with the symbol on the wall to know what to face, what direction to face. The eyeball here is really annoying, and here I completely messed up my strat. I'm supposed to jump twice on the wall. I jumped 5 times. Yeah, I almost fucked up my strat here because I was too nervous. It's pretty difficult to pull it off, to be honest. You have to long jump, quickly press the D-pad up, and then you have to do 2 precise jumps. Well, not that precise, but you can really fuck it up easily, and I consider myself quite lucky that I didn't die because that was a big mistake. A very big mistake that could have cost me the attempt, unfortunately. Now we have to jump down to like the cage. I don't know. I don't think we call that section the cage, but the part where the star is, we call that the cage. This section looks like a sort of cage because you're completely stuck. Here I completely messed up my strat. That wasn't much of a big mistake, but it was different from what I practiced. Alright, okay, last wall kick section here. When I first started to grind the star a year ago, that was definitely probably one of the hardest sections in the stage. But now, I do consider this probably one of the, not one of the easiest obviously, but I consider this a pretty easy section. Here you have to jump and then zoom the camera, and then you do this little wall kick section. Make sure to not press too slow because you're gonna bonk. That happened a few times in practice, unfortunately. And yeah, we have a few more wall kicks, and we're gonna have the last section, which is pretty dumb, but I kind of like the way it looks, And yeah, so finally, we're done with it. That's not the last time I'm gonna comment, because I'm gonna be commentating the last one I'm gonna get. And yeah, thanks for watching, and I'm gonna let you hear my reaction. Bye, guys. Let's go! Let's go! Let's go! Let's go! Yes! 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 Let's go! Ah, I'm so fucking glad, guys. Yes! Oh my goodness! So fucking good, man. Oh! Yes! Oh my fucking god! Ah! Oh my fucking god! Yes! Ah!